I'm Juliet Migwe. Thank you for joining me on my channel. As you've noticed, we've been doing more of resin art. In the past, we did a lot of home decor tips, DIY hacks, and my life's inspirations, which will still go on, but we'll be concentrating more on resin art. And so today, we are going to transform this wooden board into an ocean and beach themed decorative piece. You can do the same for a serving board or like for a cheese board, fruit presentation board. But in my case, and that's why you will see we're using small measurements because we are using it as decorative and because it's a small piece. The technique is the same. Unfortunately for me, unfortunately for you, in this video we're also going to learn what not to do and how to correct it along the way. I've already pre-made some resin, mixed some resin, the A and hardener. We are going to use some of this home decor sand for our board, but you don't always have to do that. You could just use resin on its own. We have some shells and some stones, and we're going for the sand. We're going to use this acrylic paint Sahara mixed in with the resin. We'll have white for the waves. We have this greenish blue. We have the lake blue and the light blue, and we have this Persian blue. That's our darkest type, and I've already dished out in the small bowls, small cups, because because this is already curing, I don't want it to take too long, so I did that before. The other thing I did before was to prepare the board. As you will see, I've already taped the back so that when resin pours, it doesn't disrupt our wooden bit at the back. And I also painted. You don't always have to paint, but it's preferable and for me to sort of define the color underneath so that the places resin won't lie on or sand still look. So all I did was just define how I'm going to do it and paint it with acrylic paint. The other reason you do that is because wood is porous if it doesn't have a primer, and because this was like a wooden board, it would not have the primer because of heating. So I've just put in this color so that you use that prime so that bubbles are not coming out on top. All right, so let me show you how we do this. We will also be using our flame gun because it removes the bubbles faster, and at the same time we'll use the heat gun because it will help us remove the bubbles, yes, but also move the resin as we need to. The other thing to do is always try to prop up your piece so that when resin falls, it falls down. It doesn't sort of cloud at the base so that then you're having to work extra hard to remove it. So prop it up. In my case, I'm using 2 cups because it's a small piece, and then make sure it's level. Use a level because if it's not, remember resin auto levels. So if you don't, it's going to auto level and pour out on one side. I'm mixing all the colors. Remember, the color of your ocean or your beach depends on where you are in the world. There are pink beaches, did you know that? So it can be gray, white, lighter, darker, depending on what you have to work with, but also the idea you have in your head. And the same for the water in the ocean. Some parts are usually greener, bluer, turquoise, depending on how deep the water is, depending on where the water is, where in the ocean, are you in the Atlantic or Pacific, east or west, So make what you love, what works for you. I begin by spreading out this beige Sahara acrylic color on the whole side that is the beach. I use the stick first and then my finger later. And then I put in the other, layered out the other colors as I needed them, spread them a bit, and then used my finger. Oops, don't worry, we'll get a chance to correct it along the way. Remember to pass drip from the outside and not hold the pigment cap and resin over your work. It's something you have to constantly remind yourself. Using my flame gun. For some reason along the way it stopped working, so I had to do the tedious work of using the small gas lighter. Thankfully it's a small boat, so it wasn't so hard, but it did remove the bubbles as well, because I couldn't have the heat gun too close because it was disrupting the blending. We were going to use the heat gun to do the blending. And I decided to put the white for the waves. When I did that, I put the shells and the stones. Remember, this is more decorative, so proportion and all that is not a big deal. The shells are not proportional to the beach, like this big one. But what I was saying is that mine is a decorative piece, so it's more of abstract, so they don't have to be the small size. You don't have to put the sand direct like I am on top, because I wanted to have a little of the dry look. You can also mix it together with the resin and then it will look like fully wet. You can see the cells are forming. Give the resin a chance to form the cells organically, not pushing too much and moving the waves so much so that they can settle and sort, and then you can adjust after you give it a chance. Is I'm going to put a clear coat from the beach to the end so that I can have a nice sheen. I'll leave the sand area on its own because it looks quite realistic. All right, now we have some ocean forming. Now we're going to reintroduce back some ocean color and then define the wave. But you can also do layers because you want a bigger 3D effect. These white bits are me not mixing the acrylic well, and you always have to remember to scrape the sides and the bottom and mix well. Different waves are formed depending on the different nozzles. They do different things and form different designs. I realized the acrylic was quite light, so I changed from it to the white mica to add density to help with the waves. You know, keep adapting, keep changing. This is it. Look at the waves. They have been defined here. I'll show you a close-up. When it's standing, because then you'll see the waves nicely. Right now, I'm happy with this effect. It's underwater, you know, like water has gone. I know the shell is too big, but remember we said this is decorative, so the realistic, it didn't have to be to scale because these are decorative piece. So now we need to remove this masking tape that I put at the back, and I'm hoping we don't have too much seepage inside. And so I'm putting this down so that we don't scratch, and remember there's a shell that's not covered here, so that doesn't scratch. And then we're going to pick our heat gun and just warm. And then peel it off. It comes out very, oh, I think I need to do a little more here. Comes out better. Yeah, comes out better. Not too bad. Ooh. This is where the knife comes in. Just slide it, a sharp knife, just slide it. Yeah, like that, so it doesn't destroy your work. For this part, I don't know if you can see the way it has flown over. I like that because when you look from the top, even though it has flown over, it's nice and even. What we'll do here is when we're sanding just these little bits at the corners so that we take away a little of that seepage color, we are going to just polish a little here so that when we do our color with the pen, it won't look bumpy. So we'll just grind it out, polish a little, and sand it when we're doing this. Let me show you in a bit. We're going to polish this off or sand this off. These bits, just finishing it off. So like this bit that has some resin that came through. You can use a normal sanding paper. After this, we'll just wipe it off with a wet cloth so that dust doesn't go everywhere. Then I'll just put some block oil on it. Here it is. For today, we've put it on this stand. Just look at how nice and shiny it is. You can see the defined wave. And remember, waves are what you want to make it. It can be more defined, wavy, depending on the nozzle that you use. You can see the sand and the bead looks like just water just flew or flowed over it, and the wet stones with that effect of wet stones or illusion of wet stones and the shells. The sides have cured well in line with this, so we don't have to do a different finish apart from the top that we painted, but the sides, they have sand and wow. Don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell so that you don't miss out on my video uploads for all the resin art and anything inspiration I might have for you. If you have questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below or DM me on Instagram at Juliet Megwe Inspires. God bless you. Barakatele. See you next time.